To win or not to win? That is the question that we are breaking down on the DNVR Broncos podcast with Super Bowl 50 champion Todd Davis, co-founder and vice president of content at All City Network, host of the award-winning DNVR Broncos podcast, co-host of the DNVR Buffs podcast, and University of Colorado alum Ryan Koningsberg, and yours truly, Zach Stevens. Did I get your titles right, guys?
Yes. Well, you did. I need to get my title right. I don't think I get to claim being the host of this show anymore.
Oh, damn. Co-host? You can be a co-host.
I can be a co-host.
Yeah. And of course, Super Bowl 50 champ. You got to carry that forever, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got, but I'll take it.
I don't think that's all you got. I could name, team captain, 3 times tackle leader for the Denver Broncos.
Beat Colorado in college.
Exactly.
I'll take it.
Alex Singleton, we need to have him on the show sometime. He was talking mad smack in the locker room yesterday about Sac State.
He wouldn't do that. He knows better than that. Sac State's going to run the table, 3rd in the nation right now.
Damn.
I don't see any competition in the Big Sky. Love Alex, but he knows. Come on.
Yep. And this is the first time that I've had both of you guys on where we can finally agree that Sac State's better than CU this year.
No, not even close.
Well,
what do you
if we
mean?
want to deduct.
The logic is Sac State beats Stanford.
Uh-huh.
Stanford beats CU. So therefore, Sac State could beat CU, right?
Anyone could beat anyone, but that doesn't make them better.
Oh, Ryan with coach speak over here. Any given Saturday or Friday night or Sunday.
I think they only put up 20 on us, so I don't know if we want to read into that too. Or
might be still too fresh, so we'll just move on to the Broncos. Yeah, Ryan's already looking like, can I just leave right now? I want to take off host
Why
or
did I
co-host.
come here?
Yeah, exactly. Misery. And you joined even more misery with the 1-5 Broncos, Ryan. And it is crazy that we're having this conversation on October 19th. Typically, Todd, Ryan and I have had these conversations every single year come week 17. Week 16, it's sometimes like, man, is it good for the Broncos to win and pick up a little momentum even though they're not going to make the playoffs? Or is it better for them just to lose for draft position? And again, we're doing that in like 2.5 months from now, typically. Now, the conversation, I think, rightfully has started. So the question is should the Broncos want to win this game? Not the Broncos. Should fans, and do you want the Broncos to win this game against the Packers or lose this game for draft position?
I would love to see them with a good draft pick next year. I don't care if I'm not on board necessarily with picking a quarterback unless it's Penix. That's my guy moving forward. But I love it for the option we have to trade it and get a lot of draft capital. So for that reason, I would like the Broncos to lose this game. I'm going to pick them to win it because I feel like they can. But what I would like them to do is lose it.
Ryan, do you agree?
Well, if you want Penix, then you don't need 1 or 2.
Well, the thing about it is he's climbing up everybody's board, and I think he's getting more and more recognition. So I felt safe at 3, being able to get him, but now I don't feel like it's going to be the case after this season draft preparation. I feel like he's going to be higher than maybe 3.
Okay, that's great news, honestly, for the Broncos that they're going to draft a quarterback. If there's 3 in the top 3, because even if the Broncos don't get a top 3 pick, there will likely be someone in the top 3 who doesn't want a quarterback and would be willing to trade for it. Now, I don't know if the Broncos can afford to trade more draft capital to try and acquire assets, but because of that, they should lose. Okay, so I got to give some credit here to my guy Nick Kendall, who always checks me when he thinks that I have a take that is wrong. So he was like,
is he the only guy in the world that does that?
Kinda, yeah.
Outside of Allie.
That's yeah. He messaged me last week. Remember last week I said I'm not about Drake Maye. It's just Caleb Williams or nothing for me. He's like, I think you need to take another look at Drake Maye. So I did. And I hadn't watched a full game of his from this season. Just bits and pieces plus a few games last season. He's legit.
Do you watch that Miami game?
He's legit. Yes, I watched that game, and I watched whatever the other first game that Tez Walker, is that his name? Played in, and he's legit. and Nick told me, he said, hey, watch him and think about Justin Herbert. And that's what I see. And guess what? Justin Herbert, if he didn't play for the Chargers, would be really sick. Or at least really successful. He's already pretty good, and just not successful. And so I'm coming around there. I'm not fully in yet, but I'm definitely back on board with the idea of, okay, you put this in a Sean Payton offense. I personally don't believe we're actually seeing a Sean Payton offense right now. So give him, the guy for him and let him develop him in the way that he's looking for, and I feel better about it. Either way, the Broncos need to lose as many games as they can. And obviously the players are never going to operate that way. I suspect the coach is operating that way. I don't know about what the front office or anything like that wants, but I do believe it is better for the Broncos at this point to lose. It sucks that we're having this conversation this soon. It really does. And I don't want to, but there's not, like, it's even too late now to say, like, well, they could, maybe scrape together a better season than last year. Like, realistically, no, they can't.
No.
So you can't even start to go down the road of, like, okay, well, the arrow's pointing up with Sean Payton. It's like, nah, you gotta be the bouncy ball. You gotta hit the ground before you can start coming back up.
I like that. And the harder you hit the ground, the further you come back up, maybe. So I totally agree with you guys. There's no point in winning games the rest of this season. Momentum going from one year to the other is total BS unless you do what Sean Payton pointed to yesterday when asked about what's your message to the team at 1-5, and he said, I look at my good friend Dan Campbell and what he did with the Detroit Lions last year. They started 1-6, finished the season 9-8, and I believe that's really the only time that momentum can carry from one season to another, when it's that drastic.
Yeah.
When you finish a season like, what is that, 8-2 or something like that? 8-2. That's incredible.
Yep.
And then you're really building something there. I don't think there's any way the Broncos finish the season 9-2, 8-3. So at this point, winning 4 more games and finishing with the same record as last year is a nightmare.
I agree.
It's a nightmare,
Yeah.
and I don't want that to happen. At this point in the season, the Broncos aren't going to be 9-8. They're not going to finish as one of the best teams in the NFL. So just tank. And Sean, if you're doing it on purpose, you're doing a great job. Continue to do it. If you're not, well, don't try to get any better right now. Get a lot better in the offseason, because now it's all about the quarterback, and there's no reason to win now.
Yeah, and Henry's talked about this actually for a while now, but it's like, if you're envisioning a future with Russ, like, the next time the Broncos would realistically be good, he's like 37 plus. So you have to start making plans to move on from him. It's crazy to think. Someone I don't know if you saw the person who tweeted at you and I and was like, a year ago, RK was smoking a cigar and Zach was great. And it's like, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
You don't think some shit has changed since then? Like, yeah, I know a year ago that's what we were doing. It didn't work out. Not only did it not work out, it failed in such a miserable way. We never could have even imagined it in our wildest dreams. Remember the show we did, worst case scenario,
Yeah.
we got roasted for?
Yeah.
That was in the Case Keenum era.
Yeah. That was a Todd Davis era.
Had we done a worst case scenario last year, I was maybe the most hyped person about the Broncos getting Russell Wilson, like, in the world. I was wrong. We were all wrong. And it's time to start planning for the future without him, because the next time the Broncos are realistically going to do something special is going to be at a time where he's not going to be built for it anymore. And he might not even be built for it right now.
Yeah, we're definitely in a tough position. I mean, you brought up the Lions and what they did last year. I just think they were in a very different position than where we are.
Yep.
They had some key pieces as far as Jared Goff, Hutchinson. They had, wide receivers that they knew were going to be there for a long time. I think this roster is filled with guys who we don't know are going to be on the team next year.
Yep.
And so we can't just say, like, we can keep the core that we have now, hit a winning streak, and then build on that next season, when I feel like a lot of this is going to crumble next season, even if we do win, 5 or 6 games in a row towards the end of the year. So, it's on us to find a way to lose. I won't tell my guys that on the team, but we got to find a way to lose these games to be able to put ourselves in the best position moving forward.
And the thing about this coming game is there's 2 more, like, really winnable. A little celebration you hear going on the screen. For those listening on the podcast, we just had a bunch of balloons come by on our screen.
Whose birthday is it?
Yeah, I thought, did I miss one? Todd, your birthday?
No, not me.
Yeah, here is it your birthday? Is this how you want us to notice?
I have no idea what happened. I just looked over and know what's happening.
That's awesome.
We're celebrating the Broncos losing this game, but this is one of 2 games that the Broncos, it should be a coin flip in terms of them winning. Every other game, I think there's a strong case to be made that the Broncos are going to lose. Even the Vikings at home, even the Texans on the road. I would pick the other teams right now, but you have 2. You have this game, the Packers, which we'll get into in a second, and we'll give our picks on this podcast. Broncos 1-point dog. I mean, at home, that's a pick 'em. And then the Patriots, Christmas Eve. Broncos probably right now would be slightly favored in that game because the Patriots are also in such a rough spot and Broncos at home. But we're talking about if you lose this game, you really, really will be in that position to get a top 2 pick. And then you don't have to worry about a team picking your guy. If you have the if you have the first overall pick, if you have the second overall pick, you're going to get one of the top 2 or 3 guys if you believe Penix is joining that race, which he really is, Todd. I believe he's going to be in that conversation. And then you don't have to worry about, you get to choose who your guy is. You don't have to count on other teams to mess up.
Yeah. Really quick on Penix. I watched that whole game. Actually, I watched most of that game. I got home from working that Stanford game around 4 a.m. So I was dozing in and out. But I've watched a lot of Penix. He is nasty. Yep. And my only thing with him is that he just needs to land in the right place. Because honestly, maybe the lefty thing is getting in my head. I just see so much Tua. It's
a great thing.
I agree.
Okay.
But if you remember, before Tua had Mike McDaniel, people were out on him. In fact, I remember we did a show where I was advocating if they're trading Tua, the Broncos should trade for him.
What do we say? I think 3rd round pick?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do that deal.
Yeah, of course, everyone would go back and do that now. He's a leading MVP candidate. But it's just one of those things where it's like you have to design it for him, and you have to design it in a way that just capitalizes on his accuracy. Yep. You know, and I think Sean can do it. And that's because I'm living in the tank world where I believe Sean's not actually trying to be the best he can be right now.
Well, I think Drew was more of an accurate thrower than a deep ball guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Drew had one of the strongest arms, so I think he can do a great job with them. And the thing I like about him is, like, that's not
when you
all
say
this...
Drew on a one-name basis, my brain went to Drew Lock.
Sad.
Not the great Drew Lock. The thing I like about him is there's not all this, crap about if he's coming back, what team he wants to stay, and he'll stay until he plays for the right team. Like, this guy's just a dog. I think he's ready to play football. He's ready to play at the next level. And so, we won't have to worry about, having the 2nd overall pick. And Caleb's like, hey, I actually want to stay another year. Like, I think he'll be there when it's time to, get drafted.
Yeah.
Speaking of Penix and Drew, do you see him rapping on the sidelines this week?
Was he? Oh, man.
Except he won up to Drew. He was freestyling.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And then one of his teammates quote tweeted the video and was like, he was actually freestyling about how we were going to come back and win. He's different.
I love it.
That is awesome. Man, when you win and you do stuff like that, like Drew did that during that 4-1 stretch.
Yep.
It was the coolest thing ever. The next year, when things don't go so well, man, people were just killing him for it. Exactly. Let's continue to break down how the Broncos get the number 1 pick, because there's a lot of other teams that are in a similar boat, 1-5 with the Broncos. Let's take a look at those games after I tell you about our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing. We're at Red Hawk Roofing. They've been part of the DNVR family for a long time, so you can trust them. You can even talk Denver, Colorado sports with them, and they have quality materials, decades of experience. They're available 24/7. They have a quick response time, and they have Colorado's best estimators and contractors. So a big thing when it comes to roofing or anyone dealing with your home is just someone you can trust, and having that DNVR connection shows that you can trust them. So make sure to contact them if you're looking for a new roof over your home or business at redhawkroofing.com and tell them that DNVR sent you.
And shout out to our friends over at Circa Resorts and Casino. Y'all know we're going to that game, or we're supposed to be going to the game in Vegas.
Well, we're going.
Okay, last
Let's
game of
go,
the season.
baby.
I plan on staying at Circa and having a great time. So if you're there for that last game, come and find us.
Yep.
We'll be having a good time.
You can find me at the tables.
Exactly.
At any day, any moment, except for when the Broncos are playing.
And they have tons of tables. They have the world's largest sports book. They have a 3-story stadium style seating. It takes 10 people to operate 78 million pixels. I don't know why you need to know that, but just know there's a lot
That's
going
insane.
on. There's a lot to be seen. They have great food. They have a VIP section, a dugout club, a Legends Club, a Champions Club. Basically anything you need to watch a game, gamble, have a great time. You can do it at Circa Casinos. So download the app at circasports.com.
Yeah,
You know,
so, Ryan, you're going to be at the tables?
Yep.
I'm going to be in either outside the pool in front of the TV or inside at the
Sportsbook.
2-story sportsbook. Todd,
Yep.
where are you? You with Ryan? You with me?
Yeah, I'll be splitting time between the
Okay,
pool
okay, there
and
we
the
go.
tables for sure.
I always think I'm going to have time to make it to the pool, and then
You just get
it
caught.
turns into a bender.
I never get in the pool. I don't get in the pool. Do you get in the pool? I'm too nervous. There's too many people in Vegas. Everybody's there to have a good time.
That's true.
I'll just watch
Might
and
be a place
just hang
not to
out.
be.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, last time we were there, Circa hooked us up with like our own cabana room and
Oh,
everything.
man.
With like bottle service. And even then, it was so hot outside that like I couldn't even exit the cabana. This
Yeah.
was the middle of like July.
Yeah, Summer League.
Yeah. So like people are going in the pool. I was like, there's just no way that's more comfortable than being just in here in the AC
It's
with
true.
with a drink in my hand.
That's really true. We're going, what is that, January?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect time. And then February for the Super Bowl, too.
Yep. And then I'm going in March for the Pac-12
Oh, my
tournament.
gosh, that's true. And then you got to go for, like, opening day of baseball.
And if we're lucky, Buffs make the Vegas Bowl. You're gonna have to pull off a couple upsets, but it's possible.
Ooh, and
Fingers
that would be
crossed.
December?
Yeah.
There you go.
December, January, February,
building it
March.
out.
I might not survive
Just
that.
like when you were in college or the end of college.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's see how the Broncos, let's see who we need to root for this weekend. If you are a hater, as you hear would say, the hater's guide for the number 1 pick. And it's still early. Obviously, a lot of things can change, but I mean, now that we're kind of going down this road, and I feel like most fans want to go down this road too. So we want to give all the fans all the information that they need and what they should be cheering for, because Broncos game isn't the most fun thing to watch. You leave disappointed, but there's still plenty of interest in the rest of the league, and the Broncos have a lot of competition for that number 1 overall pick. There's, of course, one 0-6 team right now. There's only one team with a worse record than the Broncos. That's Carolina Panthers. They're off this weekend, so they can't lose, unfortunately, this weekend, or they can't win this weekend. But
Do you think they would pull a Arizona Cardinals?
What's that mean?
Draft back-to-back quarterbacks?
They can't. Bears have their number 1 overall pick.
Oh, right,
How
right, right,
about
right.
that?
Okay, that is a whole other conversation. We'll have
It
to have
is.
our Bears guys on.
It
for.
is, and that's actually potentially a great thing for the Broncos. If the Broncos aren't going to get the number 1 overall pick, you want the Bears to go 1-2. Because the Bears aren't going to draft 2 quarterbacks.
So, yeah.
And if they are, they'll trade.
Yeah,
one
they'll
of
trade
those.
one of those.
Yeah. Okay, so the Bears are obviously one of the other 1-5 teams. So here, let's pull this graphic up here. What game of these do you think has the best chance of going right for the Broncos, meaning a 1-5 team wins? I'll read the games out to you. The Bears 1-5 taking on the 3-3 Raiders.
So I was feeling really good about this until I realized that Justin Fields isn't playing.
Yeah.
Is he for sure out?
No, he's doubtful.
Yeah, he's for sure not
Yeah.
playing.
So Tyson Bagent of Chaos, he will be starting for the Bears. He's a rookie, and yeah, that doesn't make me feel good.
Undrafted guy?
I don't know. I probably.
I mean, outside of DJ Moore, Justin Fields is all the Bears have in terms of like being able to win a game. So yeah, they don't have him. No.
And that's why they're bad, because while I really like Justin Fields and think he has a bright future, he is just as capable of losing you the game as he is winning it. And so when he is your best, the player that gives you the best chance to win, other than DJ Moore, I think you're right there, then you end up being bad.
Yep, exactly. And honestly, best case scenario for the Bears, as good as it would be to get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. if they have the 1-2 pick, it's probably because they're so bad all around, getting Caleb Williams and selling that second overall pick for tons of assets and kind of doing, Todd, what you think if the Broncos shouldn't get a quarterback and just get so many assets to build up their team.
Probably go back to like 4 with like maybe the Broncos
Still get Marvin
and still get Marvin
Harrison.
Harrison.
Insane, and still pick up a first-round pick. Okay, so that one's a tough one. You hear? Let's pull it up again. We've got the 1-5 Patriots.
Ain't no way.
Playing the 4-2 Bills.
Ain't no way. We can just skip that. There's no way that the Patriots beat the Bills. The Patriots have been struggling week after week. Thought they would finally beat the Raiders. Lost to them by 1 point. I think there's no way that they beat the Bills. The Bills are like, they were off and they're trying to find their stride. I feel like they're always the team that I feel like I don't know if they could do it. They always look like they might be able to, but then somewhere along the way they kind of
Yep.
They charge.
It's true.
And I don't know what the problem is, but they're good enough to beat the Patriots for sure.
So let me just paint this picture from last weekend. Was there any chance that P.J. Walker and the Cleveland Browns were going to beat the undefeated 49ers?
No.
Nope.
What about the 2-3, I believe, New York Jets playing the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles? Any chance?
Nope.
With
Nope.
Zach Wilson.
You talking about those are two great defenses though.
Nah, you're right.
I feel like
Yep.
that's the only caveat right there.
Yeah.
Those defenses I feel like won those games.
The Eagles game was so weird. They were in full control and then just like, I don't know, just stopped.
Then Nathaniel Hackett heard Sean Payton's voice and said, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. But Todd, I was just trying to paint devil's advocate. No way that you never want to like include one of those like minus 1,400 games in your parlay because it adds like $1 and it only puts risk. This is one where, throw it in because it's not going to break your parlay.
No, not at all.
Are you ready to admit you were wrong and I was right about Mac Jones?
Nope.
Okay.
Not yet. Not yet. I am willing to admit it about one team, which we will talk about. We will talk about.
It's all,
you guys, both of you. Well, we'll get to that team in a second.
Okay.
All right, here. Let's pull it up again. The 1-5 Giants playing the 3-3 Commanders.
That's a Giants dub.
Yeah, this is the game. This is the game that I really feel like could work in the Broncos' favor. Because the Giants have played everybody, well, except for the first game, played everybody pretty close and had some tough matchups. The Commanders, I can't say they're bad because they whooped us, but I think the Giants as a team are better than the Commanders overall.
Yeah, and do we know if Tyrod or DJ is starting this?
Think DJ's on track to be back.
That's disappointing.
Oh, yeah, Tyrod was a dog last
I liked
week.
watching Tyrod play. Still, I think the Giants have a great chance to win this one. I thought they should have beat the Bills, and then we would have been talking about that as one of the ones of, did you expect this to happen?
Yeah, that's a really good point. This one is the Commanders. Who knows who they are? I mean, Sam Howell can be terrible. He can throw more interceptions than points. He literally did that the week after dropping how many points on the Broncos? 35 and looking like an MVP quarterback. So when your quarterback is that wishy-washy, absolutely. So I think I agree with you guys, unless you think the 1-5 scrappy Arizona Cardinals can beat the 3-2 Seahawks.
I actually think they can.
I think they can too.
I don't know if they will, but I do think they can.
The Cardinals, man. This is the best worst team in the NFL. Because they're playing hard every single week.
Yeah, I think I said this a couple weeks ago, but they remind me of the movie Major League. Like, they're trying to lose, and the players are just like, hell no. We're going to win. They're just, unfortunately, not good enough to do so.
Doing it for their coach, man.
Yep.
The zip, what did he say?
Shots, explosives.
Got him fired up. Todd, I don't think we've ever got your opinion on that. Of us not being former players, we still thought that was cringy as hell. Did you see that video?
Yeah, he's different, man. I think
it's a good way to put
if
it.
that was with my old team, he would have lost us immediately. Like, man, if you don't sit down somewhere.
Doing that with you, Akib, Vaughn, Chris,
they would have laughed right there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You're like, when you're a professional coach, you're around like some of the coolest people in the world. The one thing you just can't do is be corny.
Yep. So you're trying to be relatable, and you're just trying way too hard.
Then you have like Sean Payton, who's sponsored by Jordan.
Yep. It's true.
Like, at least he has that going for him.
He does.
He does. Okay, let's get into our AFC West picks here. We've already kind of touched on one game, so let's just start with that game right now. We got the Raiders playing. Who are the Raiders playing again? I totally forgot.
They're playing the Tyson Bagent-led Bears.
Oh, yes, the Bears. Ryan, you already said there's no way the Raiders are losing this one.
I don't think there's
no
way. Bagent actually had a couple moments in that game, and then he had like 2 really bad turnovers.
Okay.
What you would expect out of a low-round rookie quarterback or undrafted, I'm honestly not sure. But I think undrafted.
Where do you go to school?
Could not tell you. If I had to guess, I'd throw out like Miami of Ohio.
Oh, okay. I was going to
vibes
go
I'm
Eastern
getting.
Illinois.
Oh, nice.
Since we brought up Sean.
But yeah, I think it's possible, but not likely. So there you go. 4-3 Raiders.
He might be the only NFL player to come out of this college.
Okay, well, that's not going to help
I've
us.
never heard this college before.
Incarnate Word.
Nope. I've heard
that's
there's a
on the edge of
Broncos
the earth.
player there. This is in West Virginia, Division II sport. They compete in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. Again, the school is in West Virginia, and they compete in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
Yeah, the
I have no
PSAC.
clue.
The PSAC, yeah, of course. Their mascot is the Rams. Their name is
Rampart.
no, that'd be good. Shepherd.
Shepherd College.
Shepherd Rams. Yeah, I don't even know if it's college or university. It does
Wow.
not even say on their Wikipedia. Shepherd University. Wow.
Wow.
Dang.
Impressive.
I thought I had something with Rampart.
So yeah, the Raiders are going to win this game. And it's crazy because the Raiders were 1-3 with their only win coming on a 1-point win against the Broncos. It looked like they were just down and out. I'm not buying that they're a 4-3 team, but they're going to be a 4-3 team after this weekend. I think they'll very much come back down to earth. But they've played 3 of the easiest teams in the NFL.
So
and
the
I
Broncos.
guess, yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And so I guess credit to them because the Broncos were able to do it. They were able to win those games.
Is that Bears, Jets, Commanders?
It is, who is it? It's Bears, Patriots,
And Broncos.
okay.
Broncos, and then one more to start their streak. I'll pull that up. And Todd, do you have them winning this game?
Yeah, I think the Raiders pull this one out. I don't like choosing them, but I think it's a smart decision. I think if Justin Fields was playing, I could take the Bears, but since he's not, I'll give it to old Raiders.
Do you think that we have any listeners that went to Shepherd University?
We are the most listened to podcast in Sri Lanka, so I'm gonna say yes.
All right.
Yep.
Let's go. Let us know if you went to Shepherd.
The Packers as well.
The only Rams I support.
Okay.
They played the Packers, and we're gonna get into the Packers.
No.
Packers are not a good team. And did you guys see Davante Adams' comments yesterday?
No, I didn't see him. What did he say?
He said, so again, this is after the Raiders' second straight win. They're now 3-3, heading in the right direction, second in the AFC West. They might even be in position for a playoff spot right now. They're on track. They're favored to be 4-3. And Davante said, I'm not happy with my role. He didn't say, I don't care if we win. He said, it's not all about winning for me. I'm a legend, and or I'm greatness. And I want to be reflected in that in the game plan. I need to be more involved. At the end of the day, I
He's
want
trying
to
to get
win.
traded.
Absolutely. And he's their best player by far, or at least their best offensive player by far, because Max Crosby is super good as well. But things are not going in the right direction for Davante Adams and the Raiders with 2 weeks left.
He's
until the
just
trade
trying to
deadline.
force that trade.
Yeah,
As he probably should.
that's a big statement. I think he should get out of there.
Yeah.
He is a good player, so I definitely
He
don't
went
wanna
there to be with
wasted
Derek Carr.
away.
Yeah.
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 You're not using me the way I want to be used, and I think that if anybody's gonna step up and say something as a wide receiver,
Yeah.
they usually are the ones to come out and say, "Hey, I don't like what's going on. Get me out of here,
Yeah.
or give me the ball." But I think he's much rather get out of there than even get more catches.
Alex Roberts says, imagine if Penix played in the PSAC.
Oh, man. He'd be tearing
Wait, did
it
you
up.
see that Desmond Howard clip
No.
from game day? They had game day at Washington last week.
No.
It was really cringe.
Why?
He started chanting, like, It's Penix.
yeah.
Oh,
And he started
I saw
chanting
that.
Big Penix Energy.
No way. Because he didn't know how to pronounce his name?
No, he was just like
No.
He was
trying
being
to
a
be
goofball?
edgy.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
It was so bad.
That is tough.
And like everyone's like,
And he's like jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
so bad.
Oh, that's so uncomfortable. Sometimes you need to do less.
Yeah, great advice, Zach.
I might take my own advice sometimes with that. Okay, this next game, we've got the Chargers playing the Chiefs. Chargers may be the most disappointing team in the country right now. Ryan, you said you might want to take the upset here because of how the NFL's going.
I know. I have a feeling they might win, but I'm not an idiot. I would never pick the Chargers. So yeah, no. Give me the Chiefs. The Chiefs just aren't even fun to watch anymore.
Yeah.
As much as I always want them to lose, they were usually making electric plays, and you're like, this is good football.
Yep.
They're,
Prime
not-
time was fun.
Yeah, it's not even that anymore. They're just scraping together ugly wins.
I mean, is it kind of like the 2015 Broncos team? Everyone in Denver loved it because it was a great
No, they didn't.
football team.
Everyone was whining and bitching and
Well,
moaning the whole season.
That's true. That's true. But around
and I bet
the
that's what they're
country-
doing in KC.
Yeah. And
Similarly,
around the
yeah.
country, it probably wasn't the most enjoyable to watch the Broncos on national TV because people didn't want the Broncos probably to win because they've been so dominant for so long.
Yep.
Yet it was defensive games, which isn't what just casual football fans want to see.
it was fine for me.
Yeah,
I had a good
I bet
time. No, but I don't think we were even favored that year. We had, even coming off of our great record the year before
Yep.
and getting the bye, we still weren't favored that next year. So I feel like we had to prove people wrong. But yeah, I can see why fans didn't love it as much. I mean, we were winning games by 3 points here, 5 points here. We weren't blowing guys out.
Yep.
So pause if that sounded crazy. But I said we weren't. So I think that's a good one. But yeah, the Chargers, they're always tough because I feel like if anybody in the division, out of anybody in the division, they play the Chiefs the toughest. They
True.
always are in games with the Chiefs and have the opportunity to win and throw it away at the end of the game, every single game. So I'm picking them to lose, but they
What's the
have the
spread?
best. I bet 5.5.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd pick them
Yeah.
to cover.
Yeah, they can cover, but they'll lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't even know if they'll cover. And you guys, Ryan, you've been saying it for years. Todd, you said at the moment you joined this podcast earlier this year, the Chargers are going to Charger. This was the last time that I was like, man, Justin Herbert is just that good. He's going to make up for Brandon Staley, and I'm totally out on Staley.
Yeah.
He's a really good dude, like you've said, Todd. My interaction with him have only been great, but they have to make a move, and their defense is awful. He's a defensive guy. They have so much talent, and they're only scoring 17 points. Something has to change because the Chargers should not be 2-3 with that talent, but they can never put it together. So Chiefs are going to win this game, and the Chargers are going to drop to 2-4. And if the Broncos beat the Packers this week, when they're only a 1-point dog, the Broncos will be one game back of the Chargers.
It'd
which
be a
is-
half game back, right?
They would be a half. You're right, a half game back of the Chargers, which is nuts for how awful this Broncos start has been.
Yep.
That's just the Chargers, man.
Yeah.
Whether it's Phillip Rivers leading the league in passing yards or it's LT breaking
Yep.
Yeah,
touchdown
touchdown
records,
records.
Yeah.
it does not matter. They're not going to do anything. They're not winning no Super Bowl. They're not having successful seasons. It's just they find a way to do it.
And all of that time with Justin Herbert and Phillip Rivers, one AFC Championship game appearance.
Yep.
And obviously they lost.
I mean, imagine that. Having an eternal franchise quarterback and never doing anything with it.
Yeah. And of course it's not their fault in the way of you're going to trade them or move on from them. No, Phillip Rivers was good enough to be that guy. Obviously Justin Herbert's good enough to be that guy, and you're just in such a weird spot.
Yeah.
I just wish someone in Justin Herbert's corner was smart enough to tell him, get the hell out of there. Don't sign an extension.
Pull a Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean, Archie Manning did it.
Yep.
He said, ain't no way Eli is playing for that organization.
Yep.
And guess what? Eli got 2 Super Bowls because of that.
John Elway also did that, and John got 2 Super Bowls out of it, and actually 3 by staying with the Broncos. Okay, and let's get to the Broncos game.
I'm glad you've come around.
After, yes. Oh, so yeah, I'm picking the Chiefs to win. After I tell you about our friends over at Backus and Schenker, where if you're in any sort of accident, automobile, motorcycle, ride share, pedestrian, truck, they are there to help you. Call 222-2222 to find out if you have a case. And of course, it's free to find out if you have a case. They are here for you. It's free consultation, free as they work on your case. You only pay when they win for you. And speaking of winning, all they do is win. They have over $1 billion in wins for their clients. So check them out over at Backus and Schenker, coloradolaw.net, or at 222-2222.
And a huge shout out to Breckenridge Distillery. We have a couple of their products here on the table. Home of the Breckenridge Bourbon, which is the official bourbon of the Denver Broncos contest. I know that sounded crazy. Battle of the Broncos blends. They got the Ed McCaffrey blend and the Alfred Williams blend. You can vote for your favorite and win Breckenridge Distillery and Broncos swag. To enter, you go to breckenridgedistillery.com/bourbon of Denver Broncos. There's dashes in between each word. It takes too long to read it out, but you guys get the gist. The great thing about it is you can win 2 tickets to the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite for the Broncos versus Chargers game. And if these teams are both, one and whatever when it gets to that game, it'll be a game that we probably want the Broncos to lose. But anyway, it should be a fun outing and a fun night for you guys. So go and look at our friends, check out our friends. Go to breckenridgedistillery.com. Make sure you vote for your favorite Breckenridge bourbon and enter to win.
All right, let's hop into some comments before we give our Broncos picks right now. We've got some super chats rolling in.
Let's
quick. Get to them.
An important update for our listeners, as I haven't been able to check in with them as much. I did, in fact, win my 8th DNVR Madden League Super Bowl championship last week.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Congratulations.
Now this is the balloons. You got to do the balloons
yes,
now.
I don't know how that happened. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I truly am.
Oh, man, I don't know how Ryan got 1 championship, let alone 8.
Just determination, grit, dogness.
Do you bring Todd Davis out of retirement?
You can't do that in the game, no. But maybe I can rename one of my linebackers.
There we go. How much
Quay Walker is now Todd Davis.
Oh, there we go. How much would it take to come out of retirement right now?
And play for who?
That's a good question. The 1-5 Broncos. You don't even have to move.
Yeah, I wouldn't have to move. I mean, I really wouldn't have to play well either.
No.
If I'm just out there, you can't just blame it on me when I come back.
You can rejoin the show in January.
I was going to say, can we just negotiate into the contract that you still get to do the show?
Yeah.
I can do that.
Post game from the locker room would be dope.
Yeah. A nice paycheck, nothing crazy. I would come back for that.
There we go. I like that. So John, George, maybe call Todd. I know you have their number. Okay. So let's hop into Super Chats. Justin says, Todd, what percentage of the Broncos would you say you personally have a relationship with? Any guys you've never played with but still talk with?
I have a good amount of guys on the team that I definitely talk to and have a good relationship with. So I'd probably say like 65% of the guys on the team I know personally. And then other guys that I've met throughout like hanging out at different events with guys and stuff like that. I built some good relationships with most of the team. Even like met Mike McGlinchey 2 nights ago for the first time. He's a good dude. But continue to meet everybody, and everybody's really cool. So everybody's good dudes. That's what's tough about critiquing everybody all the time. Is like I know more than half of the guys, and then I've hung out with more than that. So it's always tough. But I got to be honest. I got to keep it real with you guys. I can't lie to my fans.
Like Alex Singleton, you never played with, right?
Yes, but I know him well.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like if you overlapped with like one of the guys in their room, then you'll end up at an event with them or whatever.
Yep, just like Josie. You overlapped with him, and now that Singleton connection, exactly.
Yep. Do any of those guys ever like say anything to you about something you said or tweeted or anything like that?
No, I think those guys are busy, man. I don't know if they're really checking up on everything I say.
I know Sean Payton is.
But they won't say nothing to me. They know who the big dog is.
There we go.
I'm just playing. No,
we know you're still working out every day.
Yeah, I have a good relationship with all the guys. We're all good.
Chad coming in says, RK, have you imagined a scenario where the Broncos can land dime time next year?
It's catching on, baby. My nickname's
Is
catching
that his
on.
nickname?
That's what I said. I was
okay.
like, you should be dime time. It's perfect. Goes along with the watch.
Yep. Dimes.
Yeah, and then like you imagine like, Dame time. Like he points at the wrist after a big play. Dime time.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Anyways, I've envisioned that, but it just requires sucking for another year, and I don't want to live in that world.
So we're talking next year is in 2025 draft.
Yeah, I mean, Shedeur could come out in this draft and I believe be a top 5 pick.
Top 5 pick, not just quarterback.
Top 5 pick.
Wow.
Yep.
You don't think he's fallen at all in the past couple of weeks?
No.
Okay.
He threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns against Stanford.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. His stats are insane.
And you saw what happened when Caleb Williams faced constant pressure.
Yeah.
That's Shedeur every single game.
Yeah.
He always faces constant pressure like that, and he makes crazy plays just game in and game out. So I think he would be right there in the mix with Penix. I think he's awesome. But maybe it's top 10. I don't know, just depending on how the quarterback stuff shakes out. That being said, I just don't think he's going to. Next year is realistically the last chance he'll probably ever have to play for his dad. He's played for his dad every game of his life.
It's wild.
So I think that he's going to take that last chance. I know internally they have extremely high expectations for what they're going to be able to do as a team next year. Travis Hunter has to stay, so it's like one more year of those two with Coach Prime. So I think it will be the 2025 draft.
Do you think there's a way that he could continue to play for Coach Prime? Like if the team is bad enough that they're in the top 3 for a pick, they could be looking for a new head coach.
Coach Prime has been extremely adamant that he has no interest in
NFL?
coaching in the NFL.
But do you believe him?
Yes.
Well, of course you do.
He just says he basically says I'm not going to try and talk to millionaires about like I think he said I just can't handle being disrespected by a grown man or something like that. Because, as you're a coach, you're constantly dealing with someone going against what you said, right?
Yep.
He's like, I would just lose my mind, grown-ass men, going against what I said. So
It's a very different business. And now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have to imagine recruiting isn't as much of a grind as it used to be? Or with NIL? Or is that wrong?
I think recruiting is absolutely a grind, but Coach Prime is just a relationships guy. So I think he enjoys that side of it. Now, I also think his magnetism would actually work in the NFL from a free agency standpoint. How could you not want to go play for him? But it wouldn't have nearly the same impact. You can't just he couldn't just walk into the Broncos and flip the whole roster like he did with the Buffs, it just doesn't work that way. So, but I do think you would have super duper stars just being I want to go play for Coach Prime. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is quite the level, but those
Big
types
time
of players, Lamar Jackson is just I want to go play for Coach Prime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't see guys giving him much pushback. Because I feel the only guys that get pushback as NFL coaches are guys that haven't played in the league. Because you hear somebody telling you this over and over, and we're you don't know how it feels to actually be out there. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you want to tell that guy to shut up. But the coaches that have done it for a long time, been successful, that come and coach, I don't really see them, or I haven't had any bad interactions with coaches that have actually done it. You know what I'm saying? They have a respect level with the guys.
Right.
Sure.
But that's me. I don't know how he probably still doesn't want to do it.
I always thought about that with Akib and Chris's coach in college, Mark Mangino. He's just 400-pound guy. I just can't imagine being told run a lap.
You run a lap.
Man, I just wonder about the Dallas Cowboys. What if they don't make their goals this year? Wouldn't Jerry just offer him everything?
But he doesn't want
all
that.
about the stunt too, the publicity.
Yes,
and all that. He loves
exactly.
that. Yeah.
And then maybe a promise is you can trade all of our draft capital to go get your son to be our quarterback.
I think you're thinking along the right lines from Jerry's side of things.
Of course, yeah.
I just really don't think that that's in Coach Prime's dreams or goals.
That's totally fair. And one more thing, I think also Shedeur, for all the reasons you mentioned about staying at Colorado for an extra year, for staying in Colorado, if he does that, he would be on track to be the number 1 quarterback taken, so number 1 pick in the 2025 draft. That's really appealing too.
And just watch what happens, because we can end the Buffs talk right here, but I truly believe they're just going to go take starting linemen from big schools this offseason, from SEC schools. Starting offensive linemen are just going to come play for Colorado for their last year.
Just stay out of Tuscaloosa.
Maybe. So just watch what happens when Shedeur has a line in front of him next year.
Yep.
It's going to be the college version of the Peyton Manning effect where people just want to come play with this team that have, 1 year to go, play with a great player.
Do the Buffs have to win any more games for that to happen this year?
No.
You think they're already set for that?
Yeah.
Love it.
They will win more games, though.
Oh, I love that too. Casey says, I actually sent RK an ESPN piece on Bagnett on Twitter. Bagent, thank you. On Twitter in the offseason. His dad was a champion arm wrestler. I lived 30 minutes from Shepherd, but went to Shenandoah University. BSN OG shouting out the bros. Love it, Casey.
Love it. I remember you sending me that. That was an electric article about his dad. Just his upbringing. And yeah, I remember being like, oh. It looks cool.
Have you guys seen the face slapping championships?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff is wild.
Actually, when we were at Circa, the first day we got to Circa, that event was being held in Circa.
Oh, my gosh.
But we didn't know that. And so Parker is in the sports book betting on the face slap championship.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
And I go down there and meet him. I grab a drink. We're chatting in the sports book. And then a guy walks by in like full face slap uniform. And Parker just I watched his head just explode. He was like, I just watched him win on nothing was computing. It was hilarious.
Oh man, probably a really red face.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. Jeremy throwing us a super chat. We appreciate that, Jeremy. And Sean also throwing us a super chat and saying, me and my boys flying in from Charlotte tomorrow for the game. Keep it up, guys. You get me through the work day. # Denver fan from the East. Love it. And hope you have an awesome time this week. Maybe your best opportunity, one of your best opportunities to see a Broncos win. And let's hit a couple of questions on the website before we give our final predictions. 805 Broncos says,
real quick for Sean, I think I'm going to make my first Broncos tailgate appearance of the season this weekend.
Here we go.
Let's go.
I've been slightly under the weather for a month straight. It's been terrible. Today's the first day I feel like I got my bounce back in my step.
You got your swagger back. Love it. There we go.
Whenever RK brings that up, I need to do that.
Question on the website coming in from 805 Broncos says, what's up, DNVR crew? Haven't commented in a while because the Broncos are once again crushing my soul before the end of October and left me dull and lifeless. Jeez. Says, looking forward to finding some joy as a Broncos fan again when what has sadly become the most exciting part of our year rolls around. The offseason. I'll preface my question by stating I truly believe the Broncos will not win another game this season. They are so bad, it's hard to fathom. However, we live in a world where crazy things happen, so my question is this. How many consecutive wins would it take for even an ounce of hope for this season to creep back in? Beating the Bills week 10 to get in 4-5, the Vikings in week 11 to get to 500, or the Browns in week 12 to get to 6-5. Logically, I tell myself not to get excited until at least beating the Browns, but I know my stupid heart will begin convincing myself that they are a team of destiny if they have even an impressive win over the Chiefs next week to get to 3-5. What do you guys think? Have a nice weekend.
If they got to 6-5, I think I legitimately would be on board. They can make some things. That means you beat the Bills.
Hold on. If they were 5-5, they'd be coming off of wins against the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So 5-5 would probably do it.
I mean, to 5-5, I think 5-5 would be the last deciding factor for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe it. Even beating the Chiefs, I'm not on board. You guys just maybe had a good game.
Yeah.
You beat the Bills. Okay, we're getting really close, and then you find a way to go 6-5. I'm on board. Let's rock.
I mean, if they beat the Chiefs and they'd be on a 2-game winning streak, I would start to build the path in my head.
And you got a whole bye week after that to keep building that. I think it's after beating the Bills because I agree they can easily beat the Packers, and then they could get lucky in a fluke game against the Chiefs. There would definitely be some excitement, though, then going into the bye 3-5. But then if they beat the Bills, back-to-back weeks of beating the Chiefs, and then the Bills on the road, yeah, it'd be taking off, man.
Yeah.
People, and then, of course, they would lose the next game and just kill everyone's hearts.
It happened with the 49ers.
That's very true.
Vance, what was it, 3-game win streak, 4-game win streak?
They were 3-6, then went on a 3-game win streak, 6-6. There was talk of Vance being coach of the year at that point. And then they lost every single one of their games? You guys lost every single one of your games?
Well, first of all, Emmanuel Sanders and Chris Harris got injured.
Yeah.
And then that was the George Kittle Niners game.
213 yards.
Yeah, I think it's 212. The record's 213 in the first half.
Yeah.
Craziness.
And that was the wheels kind of came off there. And I think we had Chris Harris on the show the next week.
Yep, when he was hurt.
And he was like, if the games matter at the end, I'm coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
I never did.
Games didn't matter. Kai Not Kyler says, hey, y'all, Henry is a stud for all the work explaining Russ's contract situation. To add to the conversation, a couple sources have mentioned that Russ's 2025 salary is guaranteed for injury, meaning if Russ can't pass a physical in March, we would be stuck paying him that cash, like it or not. If we know he's not that guy going forward, is this a good enough reason to bench him sooner rather than later?
Yes, I didn't really get a chance to get into the tank conversation because we haven't done our Broncos picks yet. When are we doing this?
We're hitting that in fourth.
Okay.
Right after this question.
I forgot that we were only in the third. But that is a free tank move. Like, I think that you can do that move. You know, you can get fined in the NFL for tanking. Mm-hmm. I think you can do that move and be clear from being accused of tanking, even though it will help you tank. Because it's just like the sound financial decision.
Yep.
Like, you're doing it because you have to protect yourself against that guaranteed money. And I don't think that the NFL can say, well, you have to pay the better player even if it's the wrong business decision. Like, they don't have that type of power. So I think that's coming after the bye week.
Right after the bye week?
Yep.
For the rest of the season.
Yep.
So Jared Stidham for 9 games, Russ for 8 this year. Wow, that would be the ultimate move if they do it that early.
Unless they, do one of those things that we were just talking about with some crazy run. But if not, I think the Broncos will say we're making a change at quarterback for football reasons. We'll all know the real reasons.
Yep, exactly. And Sean will get to see his guy, Jared Stidham. All right.
It'll be terrible.
Let's get to our Broncos picks. We see Jared Stidham this week against Jordan Love. After I tell you about our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery, we've got some Breck brews on the table. Broncos Country Pale Ale. You can get pretty much any team that's playing right now. You can get a beer over at Breckenridge Brewery. The Broncos Country Pale Ale, the Vanilla Porter Jr. Ale that they've got, and of course the Avalanche Amber Ale, also Mile High City. So you can get it all over at Breckenridge Brewery. That is why they're the official beer of DNVR. So check them out over at breckbrew.com in order to find the Breckenridge beer closest to you. And speaking of Breckenridge, let's hit our parting shots by Breckenridge Distillery as we break down the Broncos game for you. Make sure to head over to BreckenridgeDistillery.com to find where you can get Breckenridge Distillery for your weekend. Available in all 50 states. Man, we've got it all on set right here. So let's dive into our Broncos picks.
Todd, since we don't have the video, can you just give us like a reenactment?
Yes.
Man, I wish I could. I think the Broncos have like drained all the excitement and hype out of me. If they get a win this week, I'll have something for you guys next week.
There we go. I love it. Man, now I'm definitely pulling for the Broncos to win. No, I'm still not. But how do you see this game playing out, Todd?
That was a.
It was like a little pass there.
For sure. I think the Broncos are gonna get a win. I don't want them to win, but I feel like this is a winnable game. The defense is trying to put some things together. They've had a little bit of time off to kind of like go back and look at old film. I don't think Russ is gonna have a 2-interception game again. So for those reasons, I'm going to say that the Broncos offense is going to look better than it did last week. I think Jaleel and Javonte combined for more than 85 yards this week. So for that, I'm going to say the Broncos win 24-21.
Okay. Man, what a nightmare scenario there, Todd.
I know.
Ryan, you picking the Broncos to win this?
No. And it has nothing to do with football. I think that from a football standpoint, the Broncos should win this game. But you've heard of Fraud Watch?
Yep.
The Broncos are on Tank Watch.
Oof.
Until I'm proven differently, I believe that Sean Payton is trying to lose games. I've seen enough, and I might even do like a Twitter thread this week that's just like all of the thing, like in real time, all the things that are happening that are proof that Sean Payton is not trying to do the best possible job he could do. It's just, it doesn't add up for me. The timeout obviously was egregious. Some of the play calls have been really egregious. And I truly don't think that Sean Payton is trying to win. So until I am proven otherwise. I'm picking the Broncos to lose every game moving forward.
Wow. And if they lose this one, I don't know if I'll pick them to win another game.
And you know what? I wrote this in our Broncos roundtable. The only team that is bad enough to lose to a team that is trying to lose is the Bears.
Yeah. And they did that.
And they did.
Yes, they absolutely did. And speaking of the Bears, the Broncos have the least impressive 1-5 record because their one win was against a 1-5 team, and it came in a dramatic comeback. We all know how that went down. The Packers are the least impressive 2-3 team with their resume. Their wins are against the Bears. Enough said there. And their other win is against the Saints. And you say, well, the Saints aren't bad. Well, remember that game. The Saints were winning 17-0. Then Derek Carr got hurt. And he was out the rest of the game. Then the Packers made their 18-0 comeback to beat New Orleans 18-17. If Derek Carr stays in that game, doesn't get hurt, the Packers lose that game. And they are a 1-4 team playing the Broncos this weekend. So the Packers are really bad. They're now on a 2-game losing streak, including a loss to the Raiders, where the offense just looks so incompetent. So, Todd, what you said about the Broncos being a better team, I agree. They should win this game. Or Ryan, you said that. Whoever said that.
I think we both alluded to it.
They might be just as good or even better than the Packers here. And that's why I'm going Broncos to win this game, because they have 2 winnable games left. And I think they probably win those games and don't win another game this season. So I'm going Broncos 23-22. And here's one interesting thing about the Packers. Can you guys guess what their points per game is on average this season?
16.
16?
17.
They're going the Nathaniel Hackett. Okay, now guess points scored against them.
16.
16?
No, it's got to be higher than that.
Okay.
21.
20. Yeah.
Okay.
20.
21. You guys are closer on points scored against them. 22.6 points per game scored against them. So they're a 2-3 team, as close as you can get to 500. So how would you adjust your points per game for them with that being said? With their defensive points per game being 22.6.
22.6.
21.6.
22.6. They have scored exactly as many points as they have given up. They are exactly what a 500 team should be. So maybe with that, they should be 3-3 after this game. But I'm
22
going Broncos
feels like a lot,
win
man.
here. It does feel like a lot, especially when you're coming off an 8-point performance last week. And we've got Alexis picking the Broncos to win 23-20, and Henry is picking the Packers to win 22-17. So for a 5-person set, we're as split as we can be on this game.
I like when we're split. Makes me feel comfortable. Henry doesn't believe they're tanking though, right?
He does not, no.
So he just thinks they're gonna lose.
I think they could win this game and still be tanking.
Yeah.
Like, cause I know Sean knows you're on his tail, so he has to throw you off the scent a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're 2-5 and then don't win another game, like,
It's just
nobody knows they're
Exactly.
tanking.
David,
Yeah.
that's why David made a great point. Ryan is building a case for the NFL against Payton. If the NFL sees your Twitter, and they're like,
If they can't-
that's all true.
If they can't see this for themselves, then they need to be out of the NFL. Jose says if he is tanking, he should not be the coach. I actually feel the exact opposite. If he isn't tanking, he should not be the coach. And to your point about how they could lose this and still be tanking, look how much worse they have been since beating the Bears. Like Sean Payton was like, all right, my gosh. I have to call worse
We are
plays.
too good.
And did you hear Sean yesterday talk about, remember how the broadcast got a close zoom up of his play sheet?
Yeah.
He said, I have no worries with that. Not an issue at all. Maybe because he wants that info out there.
Shouldn't that be like against the rules for the broadcast?
And they did it again on this past Monday Night Football game, too.
I don't ever see him flip it over though. Do you ever see him flip it over?
What do you mean?
Like they always get a picture of the back. Like I would just,
But
if
it's
I was a coach,
double-sided.
yeah, but I think he just puts
BS
stuff on there.
Oh, that'd be
Like
great.
there's no real play. He never flips it over like to start reading other plays. He only keeps it one side. I think all that's just crap.
Man,
I love that.
That's way better. Because I was gonna say, why don't you just put a blank piece of paper behind it?
No,
but
I
then
think
you throw people off their scent.
Yeah, he just puts a whole bunch of crap on
But
the
that's
back.
not a tanking move. A tanking move
No.
is putting the real stuff on the back.
That is.
That's crazy. That's a great point. I like that. Why don't they just get a privacy screen for the play sheet?
I don't know.
I have no idea. It doesn't make any
I
sense.
actually like Todd's idea too because he's always wearing glasses. That means that he's trying to compile all the plays into very small little like sections. So he needs the glasses to look how small the type is.
Yep. Also, are you allowed to? Do you have to use a sheet, or could you just use an iPad?
Think you have? I don't know. I guess you could use iPad, but you may have to use a sheet
Okay.
because the iPad is. They have so many rules and regulations
Yeah,
on there.
around
I
the
don't think-
technology.
We only can have pictures on there anyway, so
Excuse me, you mean a Microsoft Tablet
Oh,
Pro
my bad.
or whatever it is?
Like, wouldn't
that
it be?
they're sponsored
I
by?
just feel like it would be nice to be able to visualize it like Madden.
Yeah.
You can see the drawn up
Yeah.
play. Yeah.
Have you guys watched the Manning cast where they now have that 3D board that Peyton goes
Yep.
in? And that's wild.
Yeah, it
The
is.
technology looks a little shaky right now, but they're trying.
Last big point I have to make is just the technology is to such a point now where we can literally have like an animation of the game on Nickelodeon that does the exact movement of the players, and yet we still have like 65-year-old guys from 3 yards behind the play guessing where to spot the ball.
It's true. Chip it, as Sean Payton advocates for.
How could we not?
Yep.
Like, we're just actively playing guesswork, and it is worse in college football than it is in the NFL. They will just always round up to the nearest yard.
yeah.
Like, you never see in college football they spot the ball in between yard markers.
It's all about the offense, baby.
It is unbelievable. We have to stop this.
We have to stop this podcast right now. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're going to be tuning in for the pregame show, the countdown coming live 45 minutes before the game. So that's only on YouTube. So stay tuned to DNVR Sports on YouTube at 1:40 on Sunday. Todd and Alexis going to be taking us to game time. And then, of course, post-game here on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Thank you all so much for rolling with us throughout the week. We'll see you before the game.